Welcome to CRE Solutions, where we answer the questions that you ask us most frequently. So I get a lot of common questions over and over again, so we want to start bringing these questions to you and answering them for you. So one that I got recently is, can I sublease my space, and what does that process look like? And the answer is yes, you can definitely sublease your space. Most commercial leases have a clause in them that allows for subleasing. There's just a few things to note when you're going through that process. First and foremost is the landlord typically has the right to approve the subtenant, and this can be based on the subtenant's financial strength and or the terms of the sublease agreement. They do have the final say on that. Another factor to consider is that you are still responsible for all of the terms of the lease, including the lease payment. So for example, if you find a subtenant that is going to pay less than the lease amount, for example, let's say your rental amount is $1 a square foot, and you find a subtenant that is only going to pay 80 cents a square foot, that is allowed, but you will have to make up the difference in that 20 cents. So you are still the one that is writing the check to the landlord and responsible for all of the terms of the lease under a sublease. And then another thing to note is sometimes if you actually find a tenant that is paying more than the lease rate stated in the lease, so let's use that $1 a square foot again, and you find a tenant that is willing to pay $1.30 a square foot because the market rent might be higher now, sometimes you have to share that profit with the landlord. That is something that you'll want to read in your lease agreement and see how that works. Another thing to be aware of in a sublease agreement is that if there are any real estate brokers involved in the subleasing process, you as the tenant are responsible for those commissions, not the landlord. So that's something you want to talk to your broker about up front. Make sure you have a sublease agreement and know what those fees will look like. And last of all, the biggest thing on anything to do with commercial real estate is communication. So the more you can communicate with the brokers involved, communicate with the subtenant, and most importantly, communicate with the landlord throughout the process so that everyone is aware of what is going on. The process will just be so much smoother for everybody, and you'll have a successful outcome.